The broadcast is
All right, yeah, good morning, everybody. Again, this is Jeff Orrock here at the Weather Service office in Wakefield. This is the Monday, April 29th weather briefing for the week. It looks like it is going to be a fairly quiet week as we move forward. In fact, if I go ahead and just move over, we take a look at the satellite image from this morning, really can tell high pressure in place across the mid-Atlantic with a lot of sunshine, clear skies. You do see that the low pressure system sitting up here over really getting into parts of western Michigan with the trailing cold front, basically moving across the middle part of the country. Got a cluster of showers and some storms that have been pushing out of East Texas into western Louisiana. And I'll show a little bit here in a few minutes. You'll see how basically this is going to split us. This is going to stay to the south, and a lot of the shower and thunderstorm activity with the front is going to stay to our north. So not looking at like a ton of rain this week, but there are going to be a few rain chances that we'll talk about going forward. We'll move right into the kind of the weather pattern and what's going to be happening with the fronts and the highs and lows this week. So this is basically going to be this afternoon. Again, that low pressure system kind of getting into western Michigan with that trailing cold front moving down through the Ohio River Valley, and then the showers and storms starting to push into parts of Louisiana. But again, for us, we got strong high pressure that's dominating for us. And as you push into this evening, again, that high pressure really holding on, through tonight, even into tomorrow morning. On Tuesday, you can see that high pressure holding on for a lot of the southeastern U.S. and the mid-Atlantic. The cold front is starting to edge, a little bit closer to our west. You are going to start to see maybe a few showers starting to move into western parts of Virginia as we push in tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, kind of showing you that front really kind of losing its push, but trying to push down into parts of West Virginia, maybe with a few little, I'd say widely scattered showers over the western parts of the state, maybe trying to get into central Virginia, but we're not expecting a whole lot for tomorrow. Wednesday, we do see the front starting to try to push down slowly into northern parts of Virginia. We have a low chance here of some showers, maybe even a thunderstorm here on Wednesday and Wednesday evening. So we'll see how that plays out. I'll show the chance of rain here in a later slide. By the time you get to Thursday, the front's pretty much kind of pushing offshore. It's still kind of moving across parts of central Virginia. This is not a strong front, but it looks like just a slight wind shift, especially for the coastal waters. We'll see a little bit more of a northeast to easterly wind as this weak front pushes through. And again, this is a snapshot here by about Thursday morning. And you see a couple more cold fronts starting to drop down from the north, moving across the Great Lakes. By the time we get into Friday morning, again, high pressure still in control for us for Friday. You do see a cold front approaching from the west as we get into the weekend. So looking ahead to the weekend, we'll see what happens. The front starts to approach from the west by Saturday morning. And by Sunday morning, it does look like a front may try to push through here with some scattered showers and storms. So stay tuned. These aren't really strong fronts. If you notice, it's not like it's really cold high pressure behind these things. So we'll just watch for a few fronts to come through. But overall, it's really not going to be that active. So for the most part, a fairly quiet week. Just looking at the storm prediction centers, the risk of severe weather, there really is no risk of severe weather this week. Maybe we get a rumble of thunder. You see here basically, especially on Tuesday, Wednesday, and I'd say mostly probably Wednesday is the highest chance of precipitation, but not expecting anything severe, maybe just a few little rumbles of thunder. So that's good news. This is just looking at the rainfall totals of what we might actually see across the region. So a little bit better, maybe rainfall across Southeast Virginia compared to other parts. And also I mentioned Western Virginia earlier. And in fact, what I can do is I'll show this is off the HRRR, so kind of step through time here of what the radar might look like. And so this is this morning with the showers and storms, coming out of East Texas, going into western parts of Louisiana, and some more showers and storms in the Ohio River Valley. And as you move this in time, you do see how it kind of just splits across Tennessee, and there's really not any good energy that's making its way towards us. You do start to see some showers and storms maybe push into the western parts of Virginia, but they kind of even phase out for tomorrow morning. And again, you see this split even tomorrow afternoon where looks like stuff's maybe going across northern Virginia, some stuff across Carolinas, but not a whole lot, just really, really widely scattered. Again, maybe a little bit here in western Virginia. So we kind of get a little bit split. So this is why we're not really expecting much in the shower and thunderstorm activity for tomorrow. We'll go a little bit further out in time. This is looking at the NBM, or the National Blend of Models. So we'll kind of move this through. This is 8 a.m. Tuesday. Again, you see some of that rain kind of maybe getting into the western part of the state. Again, this is Tuesday evening. But for our area, we're expecting tomorrow to stay really pretty dry. Moving on, jumping ahead into Wednesday morning. Again, still pretty dry. You start to see a few little, maybe I'd say widely scattered showers, maybe a few thunderstorms, over the eastern part of the state, where you're seeing some rainfall. Basically, it's just rainfall accumulation starting to show up on the NBM, and kind of see through 8 p.m. So this is kind of the area where we might expect some widely scattered showers, maybe even a thunderstorm or two, with the higher totals, maybe a rainfall across northeast North Carolina, southeast Virginia. Again, some people might get a shower or storm, and some people might not. So this is not going to be a widespread event, but just realize there's a chance for some showers or storms there, especially as you get into later Wednesday afternoon. This is showing you 8 p.m. Wednesday evening. And then you do see that the chances will actually decrease pretty quickly once we lose heating. And as we push the day Thursday here, this is getting into Thursday evening. Obviously, it's just dry. So really just looking at maybe a few things around our neck of the woods, more like on late Wednesday into Wednesday evening. But again, even that's going to be pretty limited. And so that's why you're seeing maybe a tenth of an inch, quarter inch of rain in a few places. But I don't think it's going to be everybody. It's not going to be super widespread. The Weather Prediction Center does have a very low risk, marginal risk for maybe some heavy rain in the far western part of the state on Tuesday. I'm not really expecting any flash flooding. I don't think this is going to be an issue, but they do have a marginal risk in the far western reaches of maybe, brief period of some heavy rain. So we'll see, but not expecting any flooding. This is just showing the next 7-day total. So this does include the rainfall maybe that we're going to see over the weekend and then maybe late week. So again, not a lot of rainfall over the next 7 days. In fact, you can kind of see how a lot of Virginia kind of gets split with the mountains, seeing a little more potential as far as rainfall accumulation is concerned. A minimum here across central Virginia, and maybe a little bit more again over southeast Virginia, northeast North Carolina. So these are pretty low totals. Again, this is a whole week's worth of rainfall accumulation. So not expecting to see any big widespread rainfall events, mostly going to be dry for the most part. Just looking at some of the temperatures, obviously really warm today. Today should be the hottest day this week. Tomorrow's is still going to be warm, probably not quite as hot as today. You see we shaved off a few degrees in a bunch of locations because there should be a little bit more cloud cover with that front getting closer, coming in from the west. So maybe a few more clouds tomorrow may allow the temperatures to be just a little bit cooler than today, but still pretty warm. And then we start to kind of I'll say cool off. We're a little bit cooler once you get into Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But again, these are really nice seasonably warm temperatures, really all week long. So really, it looks like it's going to be a really nice week. And you're not seeing really cold temperatures at night. Again, you see that best chance of rain really Wednesday afternoon, a lot of 25-30% chances. So nothing really high here, just some widely scattered, showers, maybe a few thunderstorms, maybe even lingering into Wednesday evening. You see some 30% chances, especially further east, like Elizabeth City, towards Edenton. You see kind of some of these chances of rain, showers, or storms kind of extending a little bit later into the evening hours. And then we get a break, no chances of rain really Thursday or Friday. And then we'll see what happens this weekend. It does look like maybe Saturday night and into early Sunday with that next front. We'll keep an eye on this. We could see a few more, scattered showers and storms, and maybe a little bit more rain, better chances of rain later on this weekend than what we're going to see in the middle of this week. I don't think the weekend is going to be a washout, but we could see some scattered showers, maybe even a few thunderstorms coming through late Saturday, early Sunday. So we'll keep an eye out for that. On the marine side, well, one thing I was going to mention, let me back up a little bit. Since today is going to be warm, we did turn on our heat products. So just so folks know, I want to show this to you all. So, as the days get warm, if you're interested in what the heat index is going to be or the web bulb global temperature, you just go to the Wakefield site. You have this little heat icon here. So when you click on that, it takes you to our heat page. Some folks use web bulb global temperature, and that's what you see comes up here first. I'll click on that. So you can see the web bulb global temperature lighting up yellow, which is really just kind of a really low threat of heat. And you can kind of see here, you have a legend for the web bulb global temperature. And it just basically says, if you're going to be in direct sunlight working, okay, it's going to be warm today. And maybe, for every hour you're out there working, maybe just take a break. Pretty much common sense. It's not really a heat risk. Web bulb global temperature is different from heat index, where it does take into account direct sunlight. It does take into account also the day of the year. So obviously we're abnormally warm right now, warmer than we should be. And so that's really why the web bulb global temperature is kind of lighting up here yellow, is really because it's warmer than it should be this time of year. So it does take that into account, climatology, also as well as direct sunlight and humidity. So it's a pretty good indicator, of when things could be getting pretty rough as far as heat stress. So you start pushing into the reds and purples on the wet bulb global temperature, and the heat's getting pretty dangerous. The heat index itself, again, not a big deal. We're just talking about 89 to 90 degrees today, but it shows you the next 3 days, kind of neat. And we have some extended heat products here too. So I thought I'd show that since today is warm. Again, it's just click on the heat icon right on the Wakefield website. Some nice resources there for you guys. On the marine side, again, fairly quiet. You can kind of see here maybe a low probability of some small craft advisory conditions, mostly further offshore, mainly for seas maybe approaching 5 feet. So we may have about 4 to 5 foot seas here on the northern waters, but really for the most part, it's going to be fairly quiet, mostly about 15 knots or less. We may get some gusts to 20 knots occasionally, but really going to be pretty benign marine conditions for the next really 3 to 5 days. In fact, here it is, for today, maybe about 15 knots, maybe gusts to 20 here on the lower bay this morning. Not much change all week. You do have that little front that's going to sneak through, but even with that, it's really not even small craft advisory conditions. It's just going to be a wind shift. This is the peak winds we're expecting over the next 72 hours. So again, the peak winds, the highest winds we're going to see are generally going to be 20 knots or less. And most of that's going to be from the south or southwest. So nothing that's going to be much of an issue. Seas along the coast, 4 to 5 feet, 3 feet near shore. So again, not going to be anything that's going to be a big concern. Just looking at the winds here, the sustained wind on the left and the wind gusts here on the right. The main thing is pretty much a south wind. I'll just use Cape Henry here as an example in Bay Bridge Tunnel. Winds generally out of the south to southwest. And then you do see the wind shift here Wednesday night where the winds become northeast and east at around maybe 10 to 15 knots. And that's with that little cold front that's going to sneak through Wednesday night and early Thursday. And the winds continue east and eventually become more southeast as we get through the day on Friday. And again, even in the peak wind gust, you're not seeing anything really much above 20 knots at most locations. So I just got that little wind shift there Wednesday night, and Thursday you have that northeast to more of an east wind that might bump things up a little bit, especially in the ocean and across parts of the lower bay and mouth of the bay. May bump things up a little bit midweek, but nothing that's really even reaching small craft advisory criteria. Again, the wave heights, maybe some 4 to 5 footers out there, but generally 5 feet or less over the open waters. Looking ahead to the next week, really continued above normal temperatures next week, and maybe right at near normal precipitation, maybe even, we'll see how it goes. I mean, they have above normal across parts of the southeast and the Carolinas, so we'll see, but not looking like a big wet pattern by any means, and it is looking like it's going to be, on average, continued above normal temperatures here for quite some time. So, if you like the warm weather, that's going to be good news.